We've got the situation of a Maringer or Marigold round here and who's affecting whom. Kieran McKenna being one who may be staying now at the club and not going back to where he was a coach, both in the youth system and assistant coach to Mourinho and Ranić and Solskjaer, etc. But whoever United do get in, should they decide to get rid of Erik ten Hag, there's this really interesting story in the Telegraph, John, about whether the whole sort of United and nice sort of situation might impact Manchester United in terms of which European competition they're playing, because of course both Manchester United and Nice are at least part owned by Ineos. Yeah, it talks also about you really needing a sort of an independent panel to rule within the next week or so. So they have plans in place, really, and which team goes into which competition. And, reading this, it looks as if one team is going to miss out, then it's going to be Man United be relegated into the Conference League. But what I would say is that we have had very similar cases in recent past. And I do think Brighton have ended up playing a Belgian team, which Tony Bloom has got an interest in. We have got a similar prospect, perhaps with Girona next season. And also, Villa and a sort of Portuguese side entered the same competition this season, just gone. So generally what I'm saying is a compromise is found. And I do think that the Ineos are very confident, actually, that they will find some sort of compromise in the ownership structure to detail a reason why that particular owners won't have too much controlling stake over one team as compared to the other, if you like. Generally, you find a way around it. And what I would say is that the noise is coming out in the recent past of UEFA, particularly Ceferin himself, the president basically making it clear that, look, we have to move with the times. We have to be realistic. Multi-club ownership is the way forward for a lot of big businessmen, for a lot of big teams, and basically we will probably find a correction in the longer term, even if we have to find compromises. They've got about a week or so to convince UEFA. And I don't know, I bet that they will. I bet you will find that basic Man United, who are one of the biggest teams in the world, make absolutely no mistake about it, will be a very, very big draw into next season's world for UEFA competition, which includes a bit of a revamp and a bit of a new look for Europa League. And that's a competition that they will not want to lose Manchester United from. So my bet and my smart money, I bet we'll find that within the next week or so, they'll find some sort of compromise. Oh, how cynical I am. Yeah. And you've got to think that, Manchester United, Brailsford, Radcliffe, etc., must have thought about this, when this whole thing came together. And let's stay with United and stay with the Telegraph for the moment, although the Mail are also covering this story. Return to office or quit. Radcliffe's ultimatum. Martin, this is interesting. The correspondence, the message that was sent to United's non-football staff, according to the piece from James Ducker, invited to give up their jobs in an email sent across the club yesterday. And look at this for the Mail. United staff, Kyle, they're a little stronger on the headline here. Penny pinching Radcliffe to cut a fifth of workforce. They are I suppose, very single-minded about how they are going about things at Old Trafford in all departments, aren't they? So I assume that wasn't open to Erik ten Hag and his staff as a way to solve a problem that seemed to be mounting. It's very easy to cut the little man at the bottom, but they don't seem to be able to make the big decision about what happens to the man at the top. And if we are to believe what's happening, that a football club that was ready to get rid of Erik ten Hag is changing its plans for the season based on one game, then I suggest getting rid of people who were keen on working from home might not be the revolutionary step that some of the fans wanted in terms of changing the way that club has success in the future. It always seems harsh. I think the Mail and certainly maybe the Guardian was saying, you may be talking about a 25% cut of the non-playing workforce. So this is people's livelihoods who earn nothing at all, like the players themselves and the management staff. And so these are life-changing decisions. But I think having read about this the last 2 or 3 months, this is part of Ratcliffe's plan to streamline the non-playing side of the club to make sure that it runs a lot better. Maybe he's running that side of the business will help. But at the same time, you're talking about a ground and a first team and a manager that I think will take preference in terms of importance from all of the supporters. And we may well talk about whether Ten Hag stays or whether Thomas Tuchel has the experience to oust him. But it's interesting that we're in the week after the FA Cup finals finished and nobody's still quite sure who's going to be in charge next season. And that isn't quite the dynamic new regime that we were promised.